in the third period, then won the game in the second overtime. 5-4 final score. They take a 2-1 series lead. In the NBA, that series is 2-0 Knicks over the Spurs. Game 3 of the finals tomorrow night in New York. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the $14.99 Big Deal Meals at the 99, like the grilled chicken teriyaki. All Big Deal meals are available all day, every day, for just $14.99. You gotta love the nines. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Mark Dondero has you next at 3 o'clock.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub. When it comes to Boston sports, we're fans just like you. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Change. And what I mean is, I think we need to start doing this with the Patriots because we didn't do this appropriately. Again, I'm including myself into this. When Tom Brady left. And I think we all sat there and watched how bad it got quickly. It got bad really fast. But now I think that's almost happening on the other side of things, where you're talking about the Patriots having the year that they had last year, looking pretty good going into this year, but people don't want to acknowledge it. Say, well, they've been bad. They haven't been good. They've had trouble at quarterback. You know, the schedule last year. They've been bad. So, yeah, the schedule's harder this year, and they're going to struggle because the schedule's harder this year. Because they've been bad. Because they've had lean years leading into the explosion that was Drake May last year. I think that's misguided. I think we're wrong for doing that. And I think we need to look at the situation with clear eyes. The Patriots are going to be an excellent team in my estimation, and I feel like it's irresponsible to just settle because of what they've been and where they've been the last few years. If you look at the roster, okay, and I don't think anybody thinks Drake May is fraudulent. I certainly don't. I think we need to sit up and acknowledge that they're going to be outstanding this year, and they should be one of the favorites in the AFC. Now, I understand there is a little bit of a lack of clarity in terms of what happened in the playoffs, how they didn't play as well as they'd played, and there was a drop-off, and then obviously the Super Bowl. That's going to muddy the water. But I'm just saying, when you look at the Patriots roster, pound for pound, I feel like we're just falling into the trap of, well, they weren't good for years, you know, and last year they kind of overachieved. They're going to be more, you know, average this year. Why? They've got a lot of good players now. Drake May is trending to be better than he was last year based on what we've all heard. He's got another year in the system with Josh McDaniels, and if you read Mike Reese's Sunday column, he's getting more and more comfortable with the offense. We've heard the stories from A.J. Brown. He's been here 28 minutes, but we've heard Drake May taking over offensive meetings. Complete command. I'm sorry, he was the runner-up in the MVP voting last year. Some think he could have won the award. Hello? If he comes back and is at that level again, how are you going to try to tell me that this team isn't going to be excellent? Excellent. Not decent, not pretty good. Excellent. I don't know. I understand that Mike Vrabel's gone through some stuff this offseason. There's been distractions. But I don't think we're looking at it. I think we're just all set. A lot of people, not all of us, a lot of people, national media included, some people are just, they're settling because it's hard to acknowledge, hey, you know what? Shoot. They might actually be pretty good this year. Based on who they have on the roster and what they did last year, building off of that, they could be pretty good this year or better. Now, does that mean they'll be more accomplished this year? No. They might not be more accomplished this year. But that doesn't mean they won't be better. Does that make sense? This Celtics team that we've seen the last few years is better than the Isaiah Thomas Bridgie Celtics, but they weren't always more accomplished than those teams. You're not always going to be more accomplished. There's other factors. But this team, excuse me, I don't know. Why don't people want to acknowledge that they're really talented? I'm not going to use the S word. Not going to say that because I don't think they're that. I don't think they're stacked. But I don't know. I mean, can I make my case? Their quarterback was runner-up in MVP voting. He's a top 5 quarterback going into the league. I don't care what you say. And by you, I mean national, critic. You have to give Drake May the benefit of the doubt with this supporting cast, this coaching staff, and what he did last year. Going into the league, he's on a top 5 trajectory to begin the year until we see otherwise. Certainly top 10. But we're going to say because of where he finished in the MVP voting, top 5 going into this year. So you got a top 5 quarterback going into the year. You've got at least the top 10 defensive tackle / interior pass rusher. At least. If not top 5 in Milton Williams. Okay? You've got a top 5 corner in Christian Gonzalez. I think they'll get a deal done. And he balled out in the Super Bowl, one of the best Super Bowl performances I've ever seen by a cornerback. And that includes Ty Law. That includes Dexter Jackson. Not a cornerback, a safety, but he won MVP of the game. You don't see a defensive back win MVP of the game too often. Okay? Christian Gonzalez is a top 5 corner in the league. And now you add to that a top 10 wide receiver in the league at least, if not top 5 when he's really cooking, in A.J. Brown. So you've got a top 10 quarterback, top 5 really, top 10 wide receiver, top 5 potentially, a top 5 corner, and a top 10 defensive lineman that can rush the passer from the interior part of the line, if not a top 5. What other team in the league has that? We can go through all the teams. I can think of one other team in the league that has that off the top of my head. The LA Rams. That's the only other team off the top of my head I can think of that has what I just outlined. Buffalo Bills don't have a top 10 wide receiver. They don't have a top 10 Ed Oliver's a good player. Maybe he's top 10. They don't have a top 10 cornerback in the league. The Dolphins, the Jets, they don't have quarterbacks. Steelers don't have the quarterback. Ravens, do they have a top 10 defensive lineman in the league? Interior defense. Because I think an interior defensive lineman is more important than an edge guy. I think they're more disruptive. I think that's more impactful. I don't think the Ravens have that. I don't think they have do they have a top 10? They have a safety. Kyle Hamilton's excellent. They have a top 5 wide receiver? Top 10 wide receiver? Not that I could think of. The Bengals don't have the cornerback. They've got the defensive lineman. They've got the receiver. The quarterback, I don't know if he's playing at a top 5 clip right now. He's been injured, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt with Joe Burrow. They don't have the cornerback. Cleveland doesn't have the quarterback. Jacksonville doesn't have the receiver, they don't have the defensive lineman. There's no Milton Williams on Jacksonville Jared Allen, whatever his name is, fine. Houston doesn't have a top 5 quarterback. Come on. The Colts, who is the quarterback of the Colts right now? I don't even remember. Who's the quarterback of the Colts?
Daniel Jones.
Jones, that's right. I didn't even remember. No, not a top anything. Titans, no. Denver, their quarterback is not top 5, top 10. He's good. I like Bo Nix. I do. He's not top anything yet, though. Chargers, no. They don't have a top corner. They don't have a top receiver. They have good players. The Chiefs don't have the wide receiver. And, maybe Chris Jones is still playing at that level, but they don't have the wide receiver or the corner. Raiders, no. What about the Eagles? They just lost their receiver. Their quarterback isn't on that level right now. They might be close, one of the closer teams, but that's one of the best rosters in the league. And I still don't think they do. They have the defensive lineman, depending on how much you like Devontae Smith. They have other things, obviously, Saquon Barkley, other good pieces. But in terms of what I'm talking about, interior pass rush, quarterback, wide receiver, and cornerback, I don't think they have it. Dallas doesn't have it. I don't think they have the interior pass rush. Not yet. And their quarterback isn't top 5. Sorry. Never been a big Dak guy. Is Quinnen Williams still on the Cowboys? Yeah. So maybe he could be a guy if he plays well this year. I still don't think they have the corner, though. They have the receiver in CeeDee Lamb. Dak's good, but not great. I'm not giving it to Dallas. Not Washington. They don't have the defensive lineman or the cornerback as good as Christian Gonzalez. The Giants do not. They don't have the quarterback. The Bears, they don't have the receiver or the defensive line or the corner in my mind. Neither do the Packers. They don't have a top-tier wide receiver. They got good offensive pieces. Vikings have the wide receiver. They don't have the quarterback. Not even close. Detroit, close. Close. But I don't think their quarterback's top 5. They've got receivers. They've got the weapons. They've got, obviously, he's not an interior guy, but Aiden Hutchinson's a good player, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I still don't think they can match what the Patriots have. Carolina, forget it. Tampa, no. Atlanta, no. New Orleans, come on. Now, Seattle, not the quarterback. They don't. Sam Darnold is not. I know what he did in the Super Bowl. He was fine. Not Drake May. Big picture, macro, he's not Drake May. So no to Seattle. They've got Leonard Williams, check. They've got JSN, check. They've got Witherspoon, check, but not the quarterback. So they're going to be good. I get it. The Rams, I already said. The San Francisco 49ers, Brock Purdy's not that guy. They don't have a top 10 wide receiver. Mike Evans isn't a top 10 guy anymore. And the Cardinals, no. So it's the Patriots and Rams in that regard. That means something. And I don't know why people don't want to acknowledge those types of facts. They're going to be good. Accept it. This is not 2022. They have pieces. They have the quarterback who's arrived. I think we need to train our brains and rewire our brains when it comes to the Patriots. They are going to be a favorite in the AFC. Okay? We think of the Ravens. We think of the Chiefs. They are in that category now. Say it with me. They are in that category now. The Chiefs and the Patriots, they're on the same level. It's over for the Chiefs. They've fallen off. Are they going to be terrible? Of course not. They'll never be terrible with Mahomes. But now New England has an MVP level quarterback, a coach that can play in the same arena as Andy Reid, and better pieces overall. They're on the same level as the Chiefs. They're on the same level as the Ravens. It's not the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills, and everyone else anymore. The Patriots have now entered the mix. There'll probably be another team that enters the mix. Maybe it's Cincinnati this year. Maybe it's Jacksonville this year. I wouldn't bet on that, but maybe. We need to rewire our brains. They're better than you think. You've been so caught up in their ineptitude the last few years. And then last year was so dramatically different. I think we had trouble, acknowledging what was. I think that was real. Yeah, their schedule is going to be harder this year. I still think they're going to be better, even if they're not as productive, even if they don't win as many games, they're going to be better. And I think you got to say they are in the top tier of the AFC. I mean, that sounds stupid considering they just went to the Super Bowl, but we need to remind ourselves of that. 617-779-0985. They're going to be better than people think. You can call in. Also, the World Cup is starting this week. Are you excited for the World Cup? There hasn't been a lot of buzz. Whatever. I'm going to get into it, but how excited should I be? Are you excited? And what happens if the U.S. makes a run? Will Jeff Williams be on the floor on his knees banging the ground if they score the big goal there? Like he was when the U.S. hockey team won the gold.
I'd be excited, but not that excited.
Okay.
That gold medal game
That's fair.
Was something else.
That's fair. So I'm just curious. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports.
While we're in the chat here, I never remember to look at the chat, so I'm going to look at it. Some people are into the soccer. Some people don't care for it. You know, I like international competition. I like the fact, I like it a lot more that it's the World Cup is at this time of year, you know, versus what we saw in 2022 when it was in November, or whatever that was. That was terrible. I didn't like that at all. I don't want the World Cup competing against American football. So I'm just, you know, I'm going to watch whatever game. If Ian Dark is calling it, I'll try to watch it. He entertains me. I'll obviously try to watch the United States play. You don't know how long they'll actually be in the thing. And I'll see if the hype is real. I mean, people want to get hyped about the World Cup and tell me that we've got guys playing in Europe and doing all these things and way more guys in the Premier League than we've ever had. And is that going to translate, though? We'll see. I think one thing that will translate is what the Patriots did last year to this year. I think what's going to happen is, first and foremost, Drake May is going to show us that he is back and he belongs and he is legit. He's going to erase doubt from what happened in the playoffs. And that doesn't mean they're going to beat the Seattle Seahawks in week 1. But I just want to appreciate what they're doing. Chat, we're curious about your hat. It's the this is a hat for the Little League team I coach. We're playing in the 3rd grade championship game Wednesday, and I'm going straight from here to a practice. So I put the hat on because I got to go right to the practice. I'm the head coach. We're going to do some things. We're going to face a couple tough pitchers. We're underdogs in this game. Severe underdogs. Had to suspend one of the players. Conduct detrimental to the team. Just for a practice. Got to behave the right way. He'll be back. Yeah, we're going to be underdogs. It's a stacked team we're playing. I don't know how we're going to find a way to win. Come up with some stuff. Thank you. Thank you for the well wishes. Great group of kids. You know, I'm a little intense. You probably could figure that out based on, not in a bad way. I'm not negative. I don't think I'm negative at all with the kids, but you could see me being like intense, you know, positively intense. Like, we've been coaching one of the kids, Ben. He's a catcher. And man, I'll tell you what, the kid's a lefty and loves catching, and he's a solid little catcher. But I do not, I mean, the passion this kid has for catching, I do not want to be there one day when some coach tells him that he can't play catcher anymore because he's a lefty. He loves catching. But the other day, I've been coaching him on, if the ball goes straight up, you have to turn and find it, you know, like a foul ball. You got to make the catch. And he did it. You know, he didn't catch the ball, but he turned. He got the mask off. He ran to the ball. He slid for it, and I was fired up. I don't think the ball hadn't even landed yet, and I was yelling. I was fired up that he took the coaching the way he did. We had a lot of guys do that. So, yeah. Looking forward to the big game. We'll see how it goes. You never know. That's why they play the games. You know, since we're talking playoffs, you know, I think, and I'm sort of starting to feel it, where people have transitioned to, okay, maybe the Patriots are going to be more productive than we gave them credit for. And I understand that it does feel sort of like a scheduled loss with all the stuff with Mike Vrabel. But when you look up and down the roster, it's going to be interesting as camp, you know, we got mini camp and then the training camp, once that comes around about a month and a half or whatever it is, the way people will view the team is going to start to change. You can mark my words on that. They're going to start to see the talent, see Drake May and what he's doing, and people are going to start to come on to the fact that the Patriots, I'm telling you, nobody's thinking about it. You still think of the Chiefs, and you're thinking, oh, that's the cream of the crop. They're not the cream of the crop anymore. The New England Patriots are now on the same level as the Kansas City Chiefs. Let that sink in. And I know it's hard to you don't want to jump to irrational conclusions. But, I mean, I just feel like based on what they've acquired, they're going to be maybe even better. And we haven't even talked about guys ascending players. I mean, I think a big X factor this year is Travion Henderson. I haven't ruled anything out for that player, okay? He could become, is he going to become LaDainian Tomlinson? No. But could he become a star? I think he could. I mean, I think he could become a player who's better than James White. He's better than Kevin Falk. And those guys were damn good players for this team, especially when you had other supporting performers on the offense. He could be that good. And, it's just going to take time for people to acknowledge the fact that, hey, this is the new reality of the New England Patriots. Not what it's been, or Mac Jones, or the Zappy chants, or all the other things that are involved with, building it back up after a legend leaves. I think it's going to be a legitimate team with legitimate expectations this year, and a chance to kind of do some things that maybe we haven't seen them do in back-to-back seasons for a long time. Doesn't mean they're going to the Super Bowl. That doesn't mean again, I don't think they're necessarily going to be better or more accomplished than last year. But in terms of, are they a better team? 14-3 with that schedule would be crazy. But I mean, if Drake May is Drake May, does anybody think he's not going to be a top-tier quarterback? I mean, did the playoffs ruin you on him that much? Because it didn't for me. As disappointed, and I was disappointed. I was the first one to say it, literally, on the post-game show. On the first one to say how disappointed I was in Drake May for what he did in the Super Bowl and the look in his eye and all those things. But I still think he's going to bounce back. I still believe in his talent and the player. So I'm looking forward to this, and I just think that they're going to get off to a good start. That doesn't necessarily mean a win in Seattle, but a good start, and they'll build off of that, and they're going to show that in the first 6 weeks of the season. And I think as of right now, they are the closest team to winning a championship in this city, and that includes over the Boston Celtics. 617-779-0985. The hockey game last night was crazy, and I was talking to Jeff Williams before the show. I still don't know why. I'm getting more and more frustrated as we go along because the Vegas Golden Knights, they're more productive than the Bruins. And they've been around for not even 10 years. And why is that? And is this another scenario where the people in the media are ahead of the people running the team? I'm just wondering. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, The Sports Hub.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub, 617-779-0985. I've gotten a request online for random ask questions. So if you want to send them to me, that's fine. I usually get inundated at Mark Dondero on Twitter. We can do a few. First one, at Dougie Doo. He wants to know my Mount Rushmore of sports broadcast teams. And I think this is because this morning I've been posting some throwback baseball content, I guess, Red Sox content on my Twitter page, at Mark Dondero. Every day, kind of this day in history type of thing. I've been posting, a big hit from a Red Sox game and today was June 7th, 1998, Mo Vaughn. A big home run against the New York Mets over the Monster. And people, they eat it up. They love to see the nostalgic posts. One guy was commenting on how there was the naked Green Monster is something to see nowadays. No stands, no monster seats, no ads, just the green wall and the net. So that, I think, got people thinking, what were your favorite throwback announcer pairings? And that would be one for me. That would be on my Mount Rushmore. John Miller and Joe Morgan were the soundtrack of summer for me for a long time. They're on it. This isn't a hard list. I think everybody can come up with the list. John Miller, Joe Morgan. The one, who I might miss the most? It's not as, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's as nostalgic, but the team I might miss the most is Doc Emmerich and Pierre. When they put that bald son of a gun in the glass there and Doc would throw it to Pierre, I loved listening to that group, that duo, that tandem. So Doc, Pierre, that group, whoever he was with, Eddie Olczyk, they are on the list. Madden and Summerall would be on the list. And then the last one, who was it? Marv Albert and the czar, Mike Fratello. I just the old NBA on NBC. Major nostalgia for me there. Listening to those or watching those games back in the day when I visit my grandma in Cambridge. No cable. Sunday, 94. 1994 on a Sunday. Or 93. Bulls at Knicks. NBA on NBC. That's Marv Albert. Yes. I used to love Marv Albert. Might be kind of a shady dude, but I used to love his call on basketball. So he would probably be the other. That'd be the list right there. So there's the Mount Rushmore. At Mark Dondero, if you want to ask a random ask question. Thank you for that one. Drake he doesn't need to be an MVP again. And there were a lot of good players that I didn't even mention when we were doing that breakdown. I mentioned Travion Henderson. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson is still a solid to above average NFL running back. We'll see what the fumbles are like this year and how in shape he is. We'll see who else emerges. I'll tell you one guy I'm not high on this year. I was thinking about this. Not high on Kyle Williams. And it doesn't really have anything to do with Kyle. I'm just not as high. I don't think there's enough room for him. I didn't see enough as a rookie. And I think the combination of my not seeing enough as a rookie and the lack of space on the roster and some of the moves they made, Romeo Dobbs, obviously A.J. Brown. I'll go out on a limb here. You know who I think would have a better chance of production than Kyle Williams? Efton Chisholm. I think I could see a scenario where they cut ties with Pop Douglas, even though that disappoints me, and go with Efton Chisholm, and he outproduces Kyle Williams. I'm not saying Chisholm's going to pop off, but I could see a scenario where that happens because I don't see, based on what we witnessed his rookie year and all the pieces they have this year, I don't think there's going to be time or room or space for Kyle Williams to do enough to get on the field. Well, I hope he proves me wrong. Rich is in Swansea. Hey, Rich.
Yeah, so getting on to my favorite duos. Hockey, to me, the greatest announcer was Fred Cusick.
I loved Fred Cusick.
He was the best. He had the best score of them all. His voice would break, and it was a score. It was huge.
So let me just tell you, real quick, Rich, before you continue.
Yeah.
There was a video I watched yesterday. I should have posted it. I think it was Cam Neely's birthday, either yesterday or the day before, and he had a goal in '94 against the Nordiques. He deked, he came in, he backhanded, and the call from Fred Cusick was unbelievable. And that score you just referenced, awesome call, awesome. That's a great one.
And his sidekick was Johnny. I can't think of his last name, but Johnny was great. His color man.
Okay.
And going back to baseball, I'm going way back. Ken Coleman, Ned Martin.
Okay, that's further back for me.
That's old school.
Was
That's
that a national team? Were they a national team?
Boston Red Sox.
Red Sox. Okay.
They're the son of the Red Sox.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'd probably go. As far as the. There's no one better as far as the local guys for the Patriots. What's his name? The fellow who passed away some years ago. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great one.
Him.
I love Gil and
hey,
Gino.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right, take care, Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You too.
Look, there's no wrong answer. Some of it is just about because, for example, do I have a deep connection to Sean McDonough? No, but I love Sean McDonough. Sean McDonough is probably my favorite overall play-by-play guy in the world. I think he's awesome. Whatever sport he calls, I think he's outstanding. So I don't know who I can say. Like, I had Marv Albert on my list for basketball, but I've heard Marv Albert call football games. No, doesn't work for me. Sean McDonough can call football, hockey, baseball. He can do... I don't know if I hear him quite as much doing basketball, but I'm sure he's great at basketball. It's incredible the things he's able to do. So he's not on my Mount Rushmore, but that's probably my favorite play-by-play guy. Very rarely will I tune in for the play-by-play guy. That's why I think, no offense to any of those guys, I think they're all overpaid. Because I watch the games for the matchups, for the stakes. I don't watch it for the play. It's nice to have a quality team. I mentioned Ian Dark. I think that's interesting because I just kind of like the accent and what he brings to my soccer viewing experience, considering I don't watch a ton of soccer. But, if it's a great matchup, I'm going to watch the game. You just hope that the play-by-play... I used to love Dennis Eckersley. Yeah, I remember. See, I don't remember. I remember Derek Sanderson with Fred Cusick. Fred Cusick was awesome. I'll give you another one. A sleepy, another guy that I used to love. Nostalgia. What was his name? Bob Kurtz? Was that his name? Bob Kurtz? He did the Red Sox.
Kurt Gowdy?
No, his name was Kurtz. He did the Red Sox in the the late 90s, mid to late 90s, I think, on Nesson. But he wasn't like a big name. I think his name was Bob Kurtz. We'll look it up. But I loved him. Yeah, Bob Kurtz. Oh, wait, that's an animator. Born in 19... Bob Kurtz, sportscaster. Here we go. Oh, he might still be active. I think he is with the Minnesota Wild now. He might still be doing games. Yeah. He'd been play-by-play announcer for the Red Sox, Twins, Minnesota North Stars. But I thought he was good back in the old... when Nomar started, that's where that guy was in his prime. Or here. Maybe not his prime. Yeah, so... I genuinely think people are having trouble adjusting and acknowledging that the Patriots are better than you remember. Because they got to see it for a few years before they can really buy in. And I'm asking why. They were good last year. They exceeded expectations last year. They had a weak schedule, sure. Isn't that the take? I feel like that's the take. They had a weak schedule. Okay, well, what'd they do with it? They made it to the Super Bowl. Okay, they lost the Super Bowl in embarrassing fashion, but they made it to the Super Bowl. Why is that supposed to be a negative? You know, I don't understand why that's a negative. I don't understand why you get marked down for that. They won the games. It was a weak schedule, but they won the games, and they were ahead of schedule. What do you want them to do? Would they be better off if they had lost those games? Is that more genuine? I don't get that. I don't get it. Let's go to Chuck real quick in Dunstable. Hey, Chuck.
How's it going, guys?
What's up?
Was Fred Cusick, Johnny Pearson. In between periods was, can't think of the guy's name now.
All right.
And then came Derek Sanderson.
See, I don't remember. That's it. Thank you, Chuck. Yeah, I don't remember the guy, Johnny Pearson or whatever. I remember Sanderson. He was, that was a good team. We actually have a picture. I forget who the third guy was. I'm sitting on Derek Sanderson's lap because I'm like 7 years old. And Bobby Orr's got his arm around my dad. I'm sorry, that's a pretty friggin' awesome picture. Like maybe the greatest hockey player of all time has his arm around you, and you're both. It's a good looking picture. I feel like that's underrated piece of my family's, whatever memories collection, because that's a good picture. Some legend there. All right, 617-779-0985. I saw something about the NBA Finals that I thought was interesting. Is it over? It feels over. Is it over? Maybe think about that for just 1 second. We'll come back. I'll present what I saw. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Not sure how to ask for help for your problem gambling? Try hello. Hey. Hi. Howdy. Anytime, anywhere, anyway. Call.
Back here, 98.5, the Sports Hub. Love. And I know Doc Emmerich is sort of the standard in hockey. Gary Thorne calling hockey. Scar! That was awful.
After 21 years, Raven.
Oh, what a
Well,
call! I'm so glad. That's right. That's one. If you dug into my YouTube history or whatever, that'd be one of the clips. I mean, the timing of when he raises the cup. That was, and just some of the goals, the calls on the big goals over Korea. I just loved Gary Thorne calling hockey. Didn't he do some Orioles games too? I think he was doing some Baltimore Orioles baseball at one point, but he was better at hockey. Joey's in Kingston. Hey, Joey.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
What's up, man?
So listen to the beginning of the show, and no, you're preaching to the choir about your Pats takes. So much with I'm going to the first game. I'm heading out to Seattle. Got tickets all set, game, hotel, everything.
Outstanding.
So yes, can't wait. But we were speaking last Sunday about A.J. Brown, and before we got him, one thing I like about A.J. Brown, because he's a disgruntled player going to a new team, a team that he grew up loving, and a coach that he seems to have some type of pretty good relationship. So hopefully that translates into some big motivation numbers for him. I love this thing that you got. I'm not on Twitter or anything like that, but the announcers.
Yep.
So I got two for you.
Hit him.
So I grew up with Joe Castiglione, who, by the way, his son's my doctor.
No way.
He put. You know what? When he's on the West Coast that night, just his voice alone, just there's something soothing about it. It would help you go to sleep. But he called the first Red Sox World Series win that we got to see in our lifetime. And on Sundays, love listening to John Madden and Pat Summerall. And John Madden, again, he's the guy that called the Pats' first Super Bowl win.
Yep.
Excuse me. What I loved about Madden, kind of like, Joe Murray, he'd always point out, people in the stands, just in the middle of a game, someone eating some like big bratwurst sandwich and start talking about it. But, no, good stuff today, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Joey. Madden was just, we all know he was a treasure. Look, I just feel like some of those guys, I still, when I hear the Madden and Summerall, I get this intense craving to watch a Titanic NFC matchup, because I remember those games during my era, the heyday of, growing up in the nostalgic period that was, it'd be the Cowboys versus the 49ers, or, Madden and Summerall, Packers versus the Rams, big NFC games on Fox. I loved it. JP's in, was that North Providence? Hey, JP.
Mark, I got to give you an honest compliment. Sometimes you get a lot of grief from some of the other callers, some of the people on YouTube. That passion that you just said about your catcher and your joy in coaching that, it is not easy with parents, and I've done it and been there, but that was a great 2 minutes, maybe your best ever, of just honest announcing. And I got an idea for you for Wednesday.
I need it.
That catcher, the kid knows the strike zone. He's left-handed, right?
Yes.
Have him warm up at the beginning of the game like he's going to be your starter. It'll freak them out. I bet this kid can hit the plate, and that's where he becomes after a catcher. He becomes a pitcher. Let's see if this kid can throw. Have him go back and forth, face their top hitters. He'll throw them right off.
I love it.
It's worth a shot. And if you're going announcer, Howard Cosell.
Okay.
Monday Night Football was a phenomenon, was larger than the games.
Wow.
And he knew how to play it 100%.
All right. Hey, I mean,
Thanks,
you can't
Mark.
go wrong.
Let me
Thanks,
know
JP.
let's know how it goes.
Yeah, we'll definitely update everybody on the game. We've lost to this team twice.
It's better than the Red Sox. Keep us live. Get it. Call in during the game, will you?
Yeah, we try to win. We do everything we can to win and make the moves that, hopefully help us win the game, even though they're third graders. Thanks, JP. Well, it's I'm looking forward to the game. I actually, when I was in third grade, nobody cares about this, but I lost in devastating fashion in the third grade championship game, so I know how that feels. But yeah, I'm intense. But it's not, I'm telling you, it's not a bad intense. I'm not negative. I'm not yelling negative, with an angry tone in my voice. I'm just, it's more of a good intensity. When it's like, yeah, the other day I felt I was worried I bruised a child because I hit him so hard because I was so fired up about an at bat that he had. when he got to first. Like, I kind of hit him on the shoulder. Like, that was a great at-bat. I thought I bruised him. But, we have fun. It's a fun team. Not, it might not have... We got a lot of good players in terms of being coachable, being, heady, poised. We're not the most talented team, but it's a good squad. They know how to play the game. Matt's in Newport. Hey, Matt.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Listen, your next captain of the Boston Bruins should be Jack Eichel.
I love it.
Formerly Western Mass, Buffalo, we saw him, and we're looking at him now. He's winning faceoffs late in the game. He's an incredible forechecker.
Yep.
He uses his size. He's got speed on both ends of the ice, and he's, standing up for everybody. That's the guy I want. And you know what? I'm not saying trade anybody. I'm just saying do what you have to do. But I have to tell you something. I would get rid of everybody. Not everybody, but one or two key points to have them in change. I would definitely do that.
I hear you. And I like the idea, Matt. Thanks.
You're an incredible forward. You're an all-star defenseman. One of these is worth getting this guy turning on the Neely culture in Boston.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if there's got to be somebody. I'm sure Ty Anderson could do it. There's got to be somebody that can explain effectively to me why Vegas is having this type of success. They're picking up your trash. And I like Bruce Cassidy. I was a fan of Bruce Cassidy. So I didn't mean to allude to the fact that he's trash. But, he was a fire coach. They pick him up. Tortorella is a coach that's been cast away. How many times? They pick him up. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. Jack Eichel quietly is going to win in the same year the gold medal of the Stanley Cup. Hello? And he should have won. He could have won a national championship at BU, but Providence got in his way. Great series. Not series, it was a game, but a great run there by the Friars that year.
So it looks like the one big thing for Vegas is, like it is down in Florida, the tax situation is very much in the team's favor, as opposed to up here where there's like the millionaire's tax.
So what does that mean? Does that mean players are trying to play there because of that, or they just have more money to spend?
You'll get more guys that are willing to play out there. Plus, it's Vegas.
Sure,
and you're keeping a good sizable chunk of your money without the taxes.
Are you a hockey guy, Jack? Can I classify you as a hockey guy?
Yeah, I love hockey.
Okay. I don't know if this bothers me, but does it bother you at all as a fan of hockey, even if you're not the biggest fan, when a team that's so outside of what you would call a hockey region is winning Stanley Cups? Florida, Vegas, Carolina. Does that bother you at all?
It really doesn't.
No.
I know it bothers maybe old school fans.
Okay.
But it really doesn't bother me all that much, because if I was a fan of the Panthers, I would of course you'd take advantage of the tax breaks and everything.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's a huge advantage. I just didn't know. I'm thinking to myself about myself. Would I be more interested in this Cup final if the final was Detroit versus Montreal?
I get what you
know
mean
what I'm saying?
About the two teams, but we've had 3 incredible games in this series so far.
No, I get it. And it's not like the Carolina, I feel like, is in the mix every year. It's not like there's some flash in the pan organization. I feel like they've been good for 20 years. They've beaten you in the playoffs. They've won a cup. They're always around. I'm as a casual observer, not a fan of either team. I'm wondering if I'd be into it more if it were, Edmonton versus Toronto, or, Boston, obviously, the Rangers versus Calgary. 2 more original 6 hockey, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. We're not going to take a break here, right? No break.
Headlines.
We're going to do headlines. We'll come right back. More of your calls. We got Louis on the line. We're going to get to him. We're going to get some other thoughts. And I didn't follow through on the tease on the NBA Finals thing that I saw, but I'll do that when we get back. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
From the Town Fair Tires and News, Hatcher and Hardy, Owen Beetle, Felger and Mass, the Bruins, the Celtics, the Pats, the Revolution. This is Boston's home for sports. WBC FM at HD Boston, 98.5 The Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
All right, the Red Sox and Yankees playing the second game of their series. It's only going to be a 2-game series after the rain out on Saturday. They are currently in the 5th inning, no score. Obviously not watching it closely, but it looked like the Red Sox wiggled out of a big jam there. So no score in the 5th inning. We'll keep you posted. A wild game last night in Vegas during the Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. Golden Knights are up 4-0. They blew the lead. Hurricanes tied it at 4, and then they went to not one but 2 overtimes, at which point Vegas won the game on a crazy goal off the backboard that bounced off the goalie's pad and in. So now Vegas is up 2-1 in the series. 5-4 was the final on that one. Game 3 of the NBA Finals will be on Monday night at Madison Square Garden. It's an expensive ticket if you're trying to go. Knicks up 2-0 in the series. No team in NBA Finals history has come back to win the finals after going down 0-2 at home. It's happened in other rounds, never in the finals. So history not with the San Antonio Spurs. And in tennis, hold on, I'm going to pronounce his name. I'm going to pronounce it right. Hold on. Alexander Zverev is your French Open champion, singles champion on the men's side. Alexander Zverev, first Grand Slam title, wins the French Open. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning. 24-hour on-call service for your clogged drain emergencies. Go to johnsewer.com. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub. Next update around 4 o'clock.
Diving effort. But he's got a breakaway. To the backhand. Throws it in front. Coming to the slot. The Sports Hub. In this town, sports happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Mark Dondero. Let's go to Louie in Amesbury. Hey, Louie.
Hey, Dondero. Listen, man, great Sunday afternoon chatter, man. Really. Can I just throw a couple of personal things in there real quick?
Yeah, do it up.
On my way home, helping my son move some stuff today, Johnny, his wife Shannon, and my little Lily Grace, driving up the highway with a trailer full of crap that I'm going to dump somewhere on the highway, hopefully when it gets dark. But anyway, going back to some of your announcers, how about Pat Summerall? Some of the youngsters listening right now won't know. Tom Brookshire with Summerall prior to Madden. Woo. He was awesome back in the late 70s, 80s. You remember him?
No, but I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, he was really good. Derek Sanderson for the Bruins. I mean, he said shit. I know I can say that. He said shit on the radio that, did he really just say that?
Yeah.
And I know he quit drinking a long time ago, but you wouldn't think that he did with some of the stuff that he said. But Hawk Harrelson was unbelievable with the Red Sox, and then the other guy that just called in a while ago, Monday Night Football with Howard Cosell and Dandy Don Meredith.
All right, Louie's on fire. Yeah, those were those guys. I'm not as in touch with the older guys, but I've heard the stories. They're all legends. Yeah, I think for some of these announcers, there is a big nostalgic component to it. It's the soundtrack, and I know Joe Castiglione. I have tons of respect for Joe Castiglione. I do think he, I was disappointed in the call in the 2004 World Series. I thought it could have been bigger and more memorable than it was. But obviously, a legend and one of the first voices I ever remember listening to the Red Sox on the radio all those years. I used to fall asleep listening to them on the radio. Jerry Trupiano. Some great calls. So the NBA, I'm just going to say this. We had a talk yesterday with Barstool Greeny. Great conversation about the Celtics. We can get into some of that if you missed that. He doesn't think they're as bad in the clutch as I do. I don't think they're as good in the clutch. And I'm not going to say what I'm about to say because I saw this. I seriously, But there is something I saw regarding the finals. And in the last 20 years, okay, this probably means nothing. But in 2006, the Dallas Mavericks went up 2-0 in the finals and lost to the Heat. Now, this wasn't at home. They weren't at home. The Heat lost those 2 games in Dallas. In 2016, the Cavaliers went down 2-0 to the Warriors, came back and won the series. Again, those games were in San Francisco. So then Cleveland came home. That's not what the Spurs are doing. So this has never happened in the finals. But for some reason, there's something gnawing at me that's saying that this series isn't over. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I feel that way. But there's just something. I get that the Knicks have had decades of disappointment and misery and heartache and all of that. But this has been a little easy for them, don't you? I mean, it just feels like it's been a little too easy. Just a little bit. Because, look, they've played amazing basketball. It's a really good team. But is it that good of a team on paper? I mean, we're not talking about some all-time roster here. They have played awesome basketball. It's a great championship-worthy team. And as much as I love guys like OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, we're not talking about Hall of Fame type of guys. I mean, Josh Hart is not Dennis Rodman. He's not a Hall of Famer. I don't think OG Anunoby is a Hall of Famer. It just feels like it's been really easy. And I know Jalen Brunson hasn't played well, and if he starts really playing well, it's probably going to be harder for the Spurs. It just, I don't know. Can you win one game? That's all they have to do. They don't have to win 4 out of 5 games. They need to win 1. Because you know what'll happen if you win 1 game. All of a sudden, the narrative could shift, some doubt could creep in, and you got Wembanyama who can do things we've never seen before. I'm just saying, can you win 1 game? And then you know what'll happen. You'll get everything and anything and the fire of 1,000 suns in game 4 from New York at New York. But I don't know. Maybe that's the game your 3-point shooting is on fire. And you can steal one that way. I don't know. Can you win 1 game and make it a series? I'm just saying. The Knicks have not experienced any adversity for weeks. You make them experience even a little adversity. Could that be enough to get you back in the series? I'm not saying win the series, because I don't think the Spurs are going to be able to win the series. They're too young. They're too green. They haven't done it. I'm just saying, could you do enough to get back into the series? That's my question. I don't know. 617-779-0985. I'll give you another name. A guy I used to love. Okay? Keith Jackson. College football. Love that guy. I was always a big college football fan throughout the BCS era. I still watch it. I think it's minor league football now. I'm not as captivated by the product anymore. I think it's been ruined. I used to love when the entire season was a playoff, and if you lost 1 game, your year was probably over. I love that. I thought it was so unique. You know what else is funny? I can't speak to other sports, but I do think it's funny how the last game, do you remember the last game that Madden and Summerall, that legendary duo, ever called? Do you remember what the last game they called was?
The Super Bowl.
Which one?
36.
Super Bowl 36. Which was at the time, not even at the time, even today, one of the greatest Super Bowls ever played. When you factor in the players involved, when you factor in the underdog, what was at stake there for the Patriots and how big of underdogs they were and how they were able to win that game and how big of an upset it was. I mean, that was the biggest upset we had. Forgive me if I forget something bigger, but to that point, that had to have been one of the biggest, if not the biggest upset in the history of the Super Bowl. And you get such an epic game, down to the wire, last-minute field goal, huge upset in the last time Summerall and Madden call a game together. Then you look at Keith Jackson. Do you remember the last game Keith Jackson ever called? It's hard to believe it's been this long. Last game Keith Jackson ever called was the Rose Bowl, fittingly. That's what he was known for. When it was Texas versus USC. The greatest college football game, even to this day, that I still say was ever played. Not that all those guys dominated in the NFL. Really, none of them did. Which is shocking considering, because I can't remember a game, a season, a collection of talent that had that much star power. Reggie Bush, Vince Young, Matt Leinart. I mean, those were as big a names as you'd seen in college football. We all thought they were going to take over the NFL. None of them did. Bush probably had the best career, and he was barely, is he a role player? He was like a role player pretty much. But that game was awesome. The hype was unprecedented leading up to that game, and Keith Jackson in his final game was on the call. I just think that's funny. I loved Keith Jackson. So, you can keep going with that. There's more recent guys I'm a fan of. I think the guys on Fox do a great job. Baseball. I don't even know all their names. Is it Joe Davis? I think the stable of guys, Brian Anderson, Joe Davis, I think they're awesome, the guys they have at Fox. All of them. The baseball in the playoffs, really good. And, of course, Hogdale. I enjoy Hogdale. I think he's funny, the swears. I think swearing is funny. It's inappropriate. Sometimes I think it's funny. You know what? This isn't... I shouldn't say this, considering I was just telling you I'm a head coach of a third-grade baseball team. For some reason, when there's a TV show or whatever, anytime an adult is swearing in front of children, I find it hysterical. Did I mention I'm also a teacher? I don't do that. I don't do it. I don't ever, I don't do it. Maybe in a baseball game, I've said something under my breath that a child has heard. My son the other day hit a piss missile up the box. And I'm pretty sure I said, that's how you effing hit the ball. No, I wasn't screaming. I think I just said it under my breath, but Timmy might have been behind me. Or Owen, I forget. But I just, for some reason, I find it hysterical when an adult is, like that guy in what's the show? Ted Lasso, the hairy guy. Forget his name. You watch that show, Jeff? Ted Lasso? No. The hell was his name? God, he's the old guy. Oh, Kent. Roy Kent. He swears all the time. It's just funny. I remember in one episode, he had to pick up his niece, like his little niece from first grade or whatever, and he gets there, and it's the first grade teacher. And the niece... He got the time wrong or he mixed up the plans. So when he went into the classroom, the teacher was like, no, she was going to the birthday party with her friend, Susie. Susie's mom took them. And Roy Kent goes, oh, fun. I thought that was good. He wanted to say the F word, but he turned it into fun. Oh, I thought that was good. Oh, I've gone over. 617-779-0985. Look, I have no evidence, obviously. There's no historical data to back up any take that the Spurs have a chance to come back in there. It just feels like it's been a little too easy for the Knicks. And that they're going to have a little bit more of adversity to face before they really earn it. I don't know what it is. Because that was an awful way to lose that game the other night. Your guy, that's going to be a part of his legacy. And him not turning around this series in any way, shape, or form will be a big, early black mark on him. And they got there, they made it, but I'm telling you, that was a bad sequence at the end of that game. You can't have more. That's going to impact the culture of his team and how much his teammates believe in his ability at the end of games. Throwing the ball away like that and then you miss the shot. It's going to matter. It matters. You're on that stage. I know maybe you shouldn't be there. You're ahead of schedule. It doesn't matter. You're on that stage and now you got to prove it again. And just like, Victor Wembanyama is obviously legit. I think Drake May's legit. But you got to, if you're on the stage, that becomes part of your legacy, whether you're ahead of schedule or not. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
he was talking about how one of the things he touched on yesterday, he thinks the Celtics are still more talented than the Knicks. I think Felger's made that point. I think that's madness. Like, what do you see on the Celtics that's more talented than the Knicks? Tatum and Brown, yes, they're probably more talented, but I mean, are they better than Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns? Maybe, but if they are, it's close. It's really close. Really close. You can't tell me that they're definitively better. I think it's close. Okay? And then after that, I have no idea what you're talking about. Anunoby and Bridges are two of the best at what they do in the league in terms of being role-playing swing wings that have length and can score and can they're as good as you'll find in terms of that role. Better than Jordan Walsh or Baylor Shireman or Sam Hauser. Now, we all love Peyton Pritchard. But he can't do as much as some of those guys can. Those guys have much more length. They can hit shots. The handle's not as good. I love Pritchard. But he's not better than them. He might be close. He's not better than them. And then Derek White, fine. That's your team. Neemias Queta. Derek White, in terms of making an impact, he's probably a little bit more impactful than a guy like Josh Hart. But especially based on how he played in the playoffs, it's not this. It's just not. They're not as talented as the Knicks. They're just not. The Knicks don't blow them out, but it's not that they're as talented as the Knicks. You just can't say it. Dan's in Philadelphia. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
What's up, man?
Thanks for taking the call. Had a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Regarding last night with the Yankees being game ran out, and why did they reschedule it to the 29th? Who does that? Does the MLB commission do that? Or is it Red Sox decision, Yankees decision? And then the quick comment was, I don't know if you remember Don Orsillo and Jerry Remy with the pizza call on the Patriots Day game, where Jerry was like, "Here comes the pizza." That's how I remember Jerry Remy. It was funny. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, thanks, man. That was a great call. I actually thought that one was a little overrated. And I liked it, but there was I actually thought a funnier sequence involving those two, and this has been out there. It hasn't been as wildly celebrated, I don't think, as the pizza call. But if you remember, there was a clip, a home game, where they had an ISO shot on a couple young couples in the stands. Do you remember?
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. And one of the gentlemen grabbed the woman's breast.
Coptophilia.
Yeah. And Jerry just kind of went, oop. And
they can't stop laughing.
They could. It was like an entire at bat, and it was a full count, fouled off the entire at bat. They couldn't get themselves together. And they're laughing. You can hear Don. I find that one funnier than the pizza. I think that was funnier. The actual on-camera part of it maybe wasn't as funny as the image of the pizza flying through the air and he's trying to circle it or whatever. But their reaction, I thought, was funnier when that man grabbed the woman's breast. That was obviously a great duo. You forget. I mean, I'm so glad. Not that I have a problem with Dave O'Brien or whatever. But I'm just so glad, even if we miss Don Orsillo in this region, he was there for those years, 03, 04. It was just a great pairing of him calling those games. I was watching a clip today. I didn't post it. But in June 7th, 2003, Red Sox at Brewers, they hit 5 home runs in the game, and they went back-to-back in the 9th inning, Trot Nixon, Jason Varitek. Back-to-back in the 9th inning, and they won the game 11-10. They came into the inning down 10-9. They won the game 11-10. And it was a great call. It was actually Eckersley and Orsillo on that call. Great call. 23 years ago today. So, in terms of why that game was moved to August, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm assuming Major League Baseball makes that decision in association with the home team. Maybe they didn't like the forecast today. I mean, the game was delayed today. Maybe they didn't think the forecast was reliable enough today. So they moved it. We'll see where the Red Sox are on August 29th. Look, I don't like the Knicks. I'm not a fan of the Knicks. But I do have to admit, I'm a fan of NBA basketball. I enjoy the NBA Finals immensely. Not so much the regular season, but the playoffs, I do enjoy. And I think that it's good for basketball and the NBA if the Knicks win the championship. I hate to admit that, but as a unbiased analyst of different things, sports, I think it'd be good for the NBA if this Knicks team wins the championship. And I'm sorry, I said it yesterday, I think it was. They have earned the right for us to ask the question of whether or not they're one of the greatest teams of all time. Now, I think the answer is no, based on their makeup. They did win the NBA Cup, whatever that means to you. But in terms of they weren't the one seed. I don't think the roster is an all-time great roster. I just think based on what they've done in the playoffs, they're an all-time. They have to be considered one of the best teams of all time. So we'll see what happens here. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I'm thinking of things I've said. Because we were talking about the Little League. I did one time yell out. I was trying to teach the kids that, you got to go to school. You got to be aware of who's up and what that player did the last time they were up. So if Mikey is playing shallow in center field and the kid that came up in his first at bat ripped one over the center fielder's head into deep center field, Mikey needs to be aware that kid did that in his last at bat and make the adjustment. So I remember yelling out one time, Mikey, move back. The last time this kid hit a piss missile. The crowd erupted. Not a great moment for me. I didn't mean to say that. But you get into the games and this happens. The crowd erupted and they were laughing. It was more of a funny thing because I immediately took it like I knew what I had done. But Mikey's got to see that. Mikey's got to recognize that and go to school. If the kid's been late on the ball, you got to know, okay, be ready on the right side if it's a righty. Fundamentals. It's what gives you the edge, especially if you're not quite as talented. 617-779-0985. Now I'm down this rabbit hole of announcers now. Give you another random name. Not a play-by-play guy, but a guy I remember from back in the day. Do you remember Willie May? You don't remember Willie May? He was a Celtics sideline reporter for Comcast Sportsnet. I enjoyed Willie May.
The memory's starting to turn, I
think
remember this.
Greg Dickerson replaced him. I think that's what happened. But I think he was the guy during the early, during those early Paul Pierce, Antoine Walker days. I think it was Willie May who covered the team. I thought he was good. Not a play-by-play guy. Obviously, Mike Gorman. Nobody's mentioned Mike Gorman. Awesome. Legend, longevity. Fatu. Tommy Heinsohn was funny. When he would get on the refs, I know it was kind of explosive. I loved it. Some of the calls where he would be yelling at them, but not really. He was more just yelling at air, but he'd be yelling at just classic. Heinsohn, the Tommy point. So I was thinking about Tommy points yesterday, randomly. Tommy points used to be a thing. Walter. All right. What other stuff did I want to get to? The Celtics. I wanted to finish the thought on the Celtics. And also the odds. That was the other thing. The odds to win the Super Bowl. Wild to me. And I'll tell you why. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
places here. Okay. The Patriots, I just think they're being overlooked. Now, their odds, I think, have jumped a little bit after acquiring A.J. Brown. But here are the teams in front of them. The Rams for Super Bowl odds. The Rams, the Ravens, the Seahawks, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Eagles. I disagree. See, I think this is exactly what I'm talking about. People not willing to wanting to see it first before they buy in. Well, as is often said here, we have a show to do today. And I don't feel like I need to wait and see. I feel like I've seen enough. Why would the Buffalo Bills be ahead of the New England Patriots? Because Josh Allen has done it for longer? I guess. You really that in love with Joe Brady? You think the new head coach is going to put them over the top? I guess maybe it did for the Knicks. The Chiefs, the Eagles, the Bills, and the Ravens, I would all have them behind the Patriots. We don't even know if the guy that's coaching Baltimore can coach. Patriots have Mike Vrabel. Proven head coach. This is borderline madness to me. Why would you put the Chiefs? Who do the Chiefs have? A declining Travis Kelce, and then who? Their best receivers in jail. Chris Jones isn't as, effective. He's a little older now. They got rid of Trent McDuffie. They've gotten some, they haven't been as good drafting guys recently. Why are the Chiefs ahead of the Patriots? That doesn't make sense to me. Just because of Mahomes? Patriots have a number one wideout, one of the best corners in the league, the guy that was runner-up for MVP, one of the best defensive linemen, interior D linemen in the league. Why would you put them ahead of the New England Patriots? Oh, because the Patriots haven't been good, Super Bowl contenders going into a season for a while, so we got to put them backwards. Okay. I don't get it. Then there was a list compiled by, NFL. Jerry Thornton of Barstool tweeted this out. Top 12 quarterbacks consensus 2026. Drake May, number 9. Just behind, you'll never guess who he's just behind. C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud barely looked like he belonged in the NFL during the playoff game. It's Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, Herbert, Stafford, Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud, Drake May. Now, I get Drake May hasn't won the MVP. He certainly would be ahead of Justin Herbert for me. I'd even put him ahead of Joe Burrow right now. Burrow has not been as productive the last few years. He's been injured. I think that Burrow should take a seat behind Drake May in terms of this list. Definitely CJ Stroud. And Daniels. Jaden Daniels should take a seat behind Drake May. That was 2 years ago. And he followed that year up with a dud last year. If you want to put Stafford ahead of May, fine. I would have May 5th on this list. I'll give Mahomes, I'm not going to put him above. I think the Patriots are better than the Bills, but I'm not going to put Mahomes above Josh Allen at this point. I'm sorry, Drake May above Josh Allen at this point. But I think that the Patriots are better than the Bills. But I think this list, the list of Super Bowl odds, I think it's the same thing. I don't think that the Patriots are in a spot where people believe just because they haven't done it. It's as simple as that. It's not because they're not good enough. I don't think they're projecting out, looking at the roster, they're not good enough. I just think they can't bring themselves to realize how good they are. And I think they're going to show it when the season starts. I do. We'll see. We'll We'll see. I just Drake May is going to be the key to this whole thing, especially after the playoffs, the run that they had. He's got to put that to bed quickly, and I think he will. And if he does, they're going to be off and running. I think they're going to end up off and running next year at any point or at some point. I think it's just a matter of how quickly it happens. But they are going to be off and playing like the team we expect them to be sooner rather than later. It's just a matter of how soon. But they're going to get back there. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We can do some more random ask questions. All right, let's look here. Random. Okay. What's the greatest what if in sports history? At Man Mike 2. What's the greatest? I'll tell you what it is. The greatest what if in sports history. And it's not discussed enough, honestly. What would have happened had Peyton Manning been the number 1 overall pick to the New York Jets in 1997? I think that is the greatest, most fascinating what if in the history of sports that nobody ever discusses. Forget about what happened a couple years later in New England. Can you imagine, though, if it played out the same way and you had Manning and Parcells in New York with the Jets and Brady and Belichick in New England with the Patriots for 20 years in the same division? It is the greatest what if. I mean, look, all that had to happen, and this is out of Gary Meyer's book. I think it was the Brady Manning book. All the Mannings were looking for was some tacit confirmation from Bill Parcells that he was going to pick Peyton Manning at 1 overall, and Manning would have left Tennessee. Parcells refused. I don't think he'll tell you that he refused, but based on the book and the Manning's perception of it, he would not give them the assurances that they wanted. So Peyton was like, all right, I'm headed back to college. He went back to college. If you recall, the Jets drafted, I think it was 1 overall. They drafted Keyshawn Johnson 1 overall in 96. Then in 97, when Manning went back, I think they traded the pick. I'm going to have to look. They traded the pick, okay? But what happened after that, which was the most interesting. Okay? Because what happened after that was, yeah, they had the first overall pick in 97, and when Manning didn't come out, they traded it to the Rams, and the Rams drafted Orlando Pace, one of the best offensive tackles of all time. The Jets then moved down to 8 and drafted James Ferrier. Bad trade. Unless they got somebody else later that I don't know about. But if you recall, in 1998, they made the AFC Championship game. I mean, that team was ready. That team was on the verge. If that was Peyton Manning playing in that game instead of Vinny Testaverde, Manning with maybe 2, that would have been his second year. Man, that could have been something for the Jets. And not to mention the future. All the things that they could have done there with those two, Parcells and Manning. That, to me, is, I think, under-discussed and one of the greatest what-ifs in sports history. Because obviously Manning, in his first season with Indianapolis, it was rough. He threw a ton of interceptions. Yeah. He was sacked 22 times. Threw 26 touchdowns and 28 interceptions. In year 2, okay, he threw 26 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and was a lot better, 4,000 yards. Okay, now that was 99. If he had come out in 97, 98 would have been his second season. And if he was playing at that clip for that Jets team with Keyshawn Johnson and Wayne Corbett and Curtis Martin, they might have beaten the Broncos. Let's go to Dominic, who's in Boston. Hey, Dominic.
Hi, how you doing?
What's up, man?
Just looking to add a layer to the AFC East division being better at the time, where Breeze almost made it to Miami.
Oh, that's a good
and
one.
May have done one with Jimmy Johnson at the end of his career there, but I don't remember exactly who the coach was at the time.
I'll tell you who the coach was.
Yeah?
Nick Saban.
Ooh, that's good too.
Yeah, that would have been look, that's a great one. Thanks, Dominic. I mean, if he had gone there, I don't know if that's quite as juicy as Parcells and Manning with the Jets, just because Parcells was so accomplished at the NFL level. But, I mean, if you get a quarterback, obviously Nick Saban can coach football, wasn't as good in the pros. If he gets Drew Brees, man, would that have been something. And it's not like Miami had no talent during those years. I mean, a lot of their better teams were earlier on. When Dave Wanstedt was the coach, those early 2000s, Brock Marion and Sam Madison and Ricky Williams and Chris Chambers and Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas. But they had, if Drew Brees ends up with the Dolphins, I'm sure Saban is in the pros a lot longer. And, they turn that program around, and all of a sudden you've got a huge adversary in the AFC East. It's amazing the bullets that they dodged. Could have been Saban and Brees with the Dolphins. It could have been Manning and Parcells with the Jets. And Belichick and Brady dodged both of them. That's a big what if. Another what if I would say is, this is a standard one, but what if Michael Jordan didn't go play baseball? Could they have won 8 straight or something like that? That's a what if. I'll tell you the biggest what if, though, for me. Maybe the second biggest, because I said about Manning. Especially where I am in my life here and watching, being as obsessed with the game of golf as I am. I love golf. Had Tiger Woods not gotten so infatuated with army training and military training and the women, that's a huge what if to me, because he just blew his entire 30s. Basically, he won that U.S. Open at whatever age he was, 2008. I forget how old he was, early 30s. Was he early 30s? I'm going to look that up. But 85, 95. Yeah, he was 32 when he won that U.S. Open. And then, so that was 2008, and then didn't win again until he was, 43? A major? Because of self-inflicted wounds. If he doesn't get involved in some of that off-field stuff, the distractions that did him in, he probably, he definitely would have surpassed Jack Nicklaus. He'd be the most accomplished golfer of all time and the best golfer of all time. I still think he's the greatest golfer of all time, but he's not the most accomplished. He's not. And I always, it disappoints me when I think about what could have been, because in 2008, I was just getting into golf, and I started watching golf, and I watched that U.S. Open, and then I never got to enjoy. I just wasn't into it when I was in 7th and 8th grade, when he was, at the peak of his powers from 99 to 2002. I just wasn't into it. Now I'm obsessed. I got asked to play today, John Barker. But I had already committed to this show. Pains me to have to say no to play golf. But, doing the show. All right, we're going to get quick headlines here, and we'll be right back. Mark Dondero, 98. My alarm's going off. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
From the Tom Fair Tire Studio, this is
Strong finger all up and go.
This is home of the 18-time world champion Boston Celtics. WBZ FM and HD Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines.
Red Sox and Yankees playing the second game of their series. There will only be 2 after the rain out on Saturday. They're in the 7th inning, bottom of the 7th. Yankees, Sox currently tied at 1. Battle out there. We're going to keep you posted on that game, as we'll see if it goes final soon. Wild one last night in Vegas during Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. Golden Knights up 4-0. They blew the lead. The Hurricanes tied it at 4. Went to not 1 but 2 overtimes, at which point Vegas won the game on a weird goal, a carom off the backboards that went off the back of the pad of the goalie for Carolina and in the net. So it's 2-1 Vegas in that series. 5-4 was the final. Game 3 of the NBA Finals will be Monday night. They're going to have the rare 2 days off before the series shifts to New York. It'll be at Madison Square Garden, 2-0, as I said, Knicks up. And in the French Open, it was Alexander Zverev that won on the men's side, the singles champion at the French Open. It's his first Grand Slam of his career. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-thru oil change. At Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
This is what happens when analysts take over the game, take over the sport.
This is where you talk sports.
It happens all the time.
The Sports Hub. Boston sports, yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
At Hottie, or no. Yeah, at Hottie2. Okay. What was the most forgotten great moment in Boston sports history? For me, it's probably when Carl Everett broke up the Mike Mussina perfect game in 2001. 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. Mussina 1 strike away. I think it was a strike away from a perfect game. And Carl Everett broke it up. He dumped one into left center field, shallow left center. Ended the perfect game and the no-hitter. It was a great, that was back before the Red Sox won anything. So those types of moments were huge. Trot Nixon in 2000. The home run off of Roger Clemens, that was a huge moment. The All-Star game with Page, that was a huge moment back then. What's one sporting event that's been played ever, all time, that you would love to have been at? You know what? I'll tell you which one. All-time sporting event that I would have loved to have been at had I had the chance. And I know this is kind of relevant because they're in the finals. I would have loved to have felt the energy back in the mid-90s at Madison, or early, whenever it was, when Madison Square Garden was at, its apex back then. Not that it isn't now. But the Knicks and Ewing and those Knicks teams in one of those playoff series against Michael Jordan. I would have loved to have felt the Garden energy. Biggie Smalls to my left, Spike Lee to my right, Jerry Seinfeld, celebrity, who else, whatever, I don't know who was there. But to see Jordan, in that arena, in that environment, on that stage, against those hardcore Knicks teams that they would beat you up, they were good teams. Against the greatest of, I would have loved to have been at one of those games. And the other answer to that is the Celtics in the 80s. I would have loved to have been at the Boston Garden to feel the energy of a Larry Bird-led Celtics team. Probably my biggest regret as a Boston sports fan, not being old enough to have been able to be at one of those games and feel the energy of an 80s game. Because let's be honest, as good as the Celtics have been in spots, 08, Pierce, this iteration, Brown and Tatum, they're not a dynasty. The Celtics of the 80s and the Lakers rivalries and the Sixers rivalry, I would have loved to have felt that energy in the Boston Garden back then. I said it yesterday. I'm going to just reiterate it today. If you missed it, it's a different time slot. Yes, the Celtics have had good moments. Jason Tatum has had clutch moments. But I just feel like you need more consistency to become known for being good in the clutch. And I don't think the Celtics have had that consistency. Brunson has had more consistency, and that's why he's known for being so good as a clutch player. There haven't been these major drop-offs. This is why, and I know people didn't like this, and I don't blame them. That's fine. But this is why a few weeks ago I brought up, who could you look back on more favorably? This iteration of the Boston Celtics, Tatum and Brown, or the late 90s Indiana Pacers into the early 2000s. And people hated it, and I get it, and it was maybe ridiculous. But my point was those Pacers teams might have been more consistent. And how much is that worth? So, for example, when we look, this is why I get upset with the Celtics. Because obviously they're excellent, and Brown and Tatum are as good as you'll find in terms of a duo in the NBA. But when I look at the Celtics and juxtapose, okay, the last two iterations of the Celtics that won a championship, okay, it's very different. And this is why I have the problem, because the 2008 Celtics, we know, won the championship, okay? They won the championship, but they had 5 years where they were really, that's the team that we saw. Pierce, Garnett, Allen. It was really a 5-year run. They played that extra year in 13, but they were already on their way down and out by then. 5 years, 2008 to 2012. They win the championship in 2008. Okay? 2009, they lose in the second round to the Magic. That gets to the finals, but KG got hurt. KG doesn't get hurt. They probably, who knows, they might win the championship. They probably go to the finals. They lose to the Magic in 7 games. Magic end up in the finals against the Lakers and lose 4-2 to the Lakers. 2010, they make the finals. They lose in Game 7 to the Lakers. Kendrick Perkins gets hurt in Game 6. Or one of those games, he got hurt late in Game 6. 2011, they beat the Knicks in the first round. Second round, they lose to LeBron James and the newly minted Miami Heat All-Star team. Then the next year, 2012, they put the Heat on the brink. Paul Pierce hits that huge shot in Game 5. They come home in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6. LeBron goes off, his best playoff game, one of his top 3 playoff games of his career. And they lose to that Heat team in 7, a Heat team that won back-to-back championships. My point is, that team in 2008 always felt like they were playing to their level, especially in the playoffs. Did they win every series? Did they win every championship? No. Did they blow leads in the... Yes, they blew 3-2 leads. I think in the finals in 2010 and then in 2012 against Miami. They blew leads. They were up 3-2 against the Magic in 2009. Blew that lead, lost the series. But they always played to their level. They were, down a guy. They weren't as talented. They almost won, but didn't. This iteration of the Celtics that also won a championship, not as consistent. They win. Okay, so let's go to 2022. They get through the East, they win the East, and then they get to the finals. They look great all through the East playoffs, get to the finals, Jason Tatum sort of disappears. Was he injured? Maybe. But Kurt Schilling was injured in 2004 with the ankle, played great in that game. Patrice Bergeron punctured a lung in 2013, we didn't even know. Tom Brady played with a lacerated hand in the AFC title game, didn't even realize. You could be injured and still play great. Maybe Tatum was injured, give him a pat, whatever. Okay? So they don't make the finals there. The next year, or they make the finals, don't win the finals. The next year, they play the Heat. They've got home court advantage. They're the more talented team. They go down 0-3. Now, they battle back to force a 7th game. They lose that at home. But they go down 0-3. Unacceptable in that spot. You get 2 games at home. The Celtics are a more talented team. You can't go down 3-0. 2024, they win the championship. Great run. However, the first team All-NBA player on that team doesn't win Eastern Conference Finals MVP or NBA Finals MVP. Crazy. You're not going to see that again for 25 years or more, where a first team All-NBA guy on a team that wins the title doesn't win either of those MVP awards. Weird. Okay, 2024, they win it. Fine. 25, the Knicks blow 2 20-point leads. They lose those first 2 games at home. They lose the series as defending champions. You're supposed to be impossible to kill as a defending champ. They blow 20-point leads, explosively unacceptable. They lose the series. And then this year, for the first time in Celtics franchise history, they blow a 3-1 lead. They have had, this team, this iteration, too many wildly explosive, inconsistent moments. That's why I have a problem with this team. And that is associated with their lack of clutchness. And that's why they've lost some of these games, blown some of these leads. But the team in 2008 through 2012 didn't do this. They didn't have these wild swings of inconsistency. That's why I feel better about them. This team is too wildly inconsistent, and it drives me crazy. And I think that's the best way to categorize this Boston Celtics group and where they are. I don't think they're on the same level, the same tier as the Knicks. I don't think they're on the same tier as some of these teams, the Thunder or the Spurs. I think they're right below, and I think they could get back on that tier if they make the right moves. It would also help to not shoot as many three-pointers. I just don't think they're quite as good as those teams based on what I've seen. We'll see what happens with the rest of this series. You into the World Cup? Let's go back to the chat. I've lost the chat again. You're talking about yard work. I don't understand this chat. It's like people coming on having their own conversations. I mean, that's fine. People cheering on the Red Sox. Okay. Look, I'm looking forward to the World Cup. I am interested to know how I would react if the U.S. starts to make a real run. Quarterfinals are at Boston Stadium. I think that's July 10th. Imagine if the U.S. played in that game. Bedlam. You get you lubed up for that one. Bars are open late. I think it could create a little bit of I'm surprised that there hasn't been more fanfare surrounding the World Cup. You know, maybe because nobody knows any of the players. Who's the favorite to win the World Cup? I don't even know. Let's look it up. World Cup favorite right now. France. Is it France?
Spain and France.
Okay. So that's Ronaldo. Spain, yep. Spain is Ronaldo. France is Mbappe, if I have that right. I mean, I just feel like if people... It could be a trendy thing here in America if they found a way to make some noise. I didn't realize the furthest they went was 2002. I think they went to the round of the quarterfinals. Or was it the round before the quarterfinals? That would have been, I feel like, a little buzzworthy. Why don't I remember that? I was around. But that, I mean, they I remember them going far in 2010, or not far, but they got out of the whatever stage that was. Round of 16. Yeah, they made the quarterfinals in 2000 and 2002. They made the quarterfinals. They beat Mexico in the round of 16. So that's the furthest they've ever gone. They lost 1-0 to Germany. Germany ended up in the final against Brazil, and they lost. So, damn, I mean, that's a pretty impressive run. I don't know why that wasn't discussed more. Maybe I just was out of it. And I think the furthest they've gone recently is to the round of 16. So, we'll see. I don't know if they have any big personalities on their team, or on that team, or if they're going to, we'll get to know some of these guys as the play begins. I think the game, I think soccer, I think the rule, the offside rule in soccer is one of the worst rules in sports. Such a downer. Kills any momentum, any offensive, opportunities. I don't understand it. I think the league could do themselves, the sport could do themselves a favor by getting rid of that, but it's not going to prevent me from trying to check out what's going on in this tournament. So 617-779-0985. I don't think you're into the World Cup based on what I'm reading in the chat. Some people might be the soccer heads, but people don't feel that into it. Mark Dondero, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Does your home need a new roof? Get a free estimate today from Connell Roofing, the leading Massachusetts roofing company. Book your estimate today.
some different songs and the lyrics to the songs. And when you do that, it's a fascinating exercise. And that was sound from Days of the New right there, right? Their song Shelf in the Room just gets you thinking. Like what motivates somebody to write a song like that about the shelf? I mean, it's just amazing how some things, another one, the Backstreet Boys, I've seen interview. I knew this from doing this work, but I saw an interview like a year or two later after I had broken it down. The song I Want It That Way, by the Backstreet Boys was obviously a huge hit back in the day. But if you really listen to it, like really listen to the song, it means nothing. Like it makes no sense. The song makes absolutely no sense. It's just an eargasm. You know, it sounds good. People like the sound of it. Which is kind of funny. You know, some guy once upon a time sat down and wrote a whole song about the shelf in the room. Now, I didn't go over that one. I don't know what that one's about. But I Want It That Way means nothing. There is no actual coherent meaning to that song. It just sounds really good and catchy. I was told that they recorded a version of the song that meant like it made more sense. But they were like, I actually have heard this. I actually don't mind this one. I might even like it better. But they axed it because the other one was just too good. And they were right. Another song I broke down that you think was kind of stupid or silly, but actually has a lot more meaning. Bop by Hanson. There's that, like, it's all you think of when you hear that song is the sounds of the bop and bop, 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 like whatever it is. But there's actually a lot of like in the verse, the different verses, there's meaning to what he's saying. And I forget what it is, finding yourself or finding what your true meaning is and doing what you're meant to. I don't know. But
bump, you're gone.
Yeah, there's more meaning to it than just bop, whatever that is. So there you go. Look, I'm sorry. I'm not able to do an entire show of random ask questions. We can do one more if you want. I'll do one more. I can't do all of them. I mean, we'd be doing. All right, at Mitchy Boy. What sports opinion did you have 10 years ago that completely changed? So one that I had, I'm almost embarrassed to admit it now. I was never a fan of the pitch clock. I didn't want it. I resisted. And now my opinion has completely changed. I think it's a great thing for the game. I think it's really helped baseball. So that would be one. You want one more? What's the best sport? This guy, whatever his name is, I don't know. Numbers. What's the best sports nickname of all time? I'm a big nickname guy. I love nicknames. I love giving people nicknames even when they don't want them. I know that's probably, unbecoming. But I feel like it's a way to endear yourself to somebody if I start calling you by a nickname. So I apologize if I've done that and you didn't want it. There's so many nicknames that I've loved. I'll tell you one that I always got into that I thought was great. I always like Randy Moss being known as the Super Freak. I thought it was a cool nickname. A guy like that could run like that exploded onto the scene. Allen Iverson, the Answer, I thought was a cool one. I mean, I think Poppy fit David Ortiz to a T. Actually, I liked somebody's tweet today to that Mo Vaughn thing that I posted. Thought it was well said. That video of Mo Vaughn hitting a home run on Sunday. He said, Mo walked so Poppy could run. Well said. I think that's pretty much what you could classify it as. Other big-time nicknames. Like the King. I don't really care for the LeBron James, the King. It was sort of, I think he dubbed himself the guy. I don't really like that. You can't give yourself a nickname. You're automatically disqualified. That's the biggest tool move ever. Air Jordan. I mean, how do you not like Air Jordan? Sweet nickname. Not big on, I think you need to be better than just initials. TB12 was not a good nickname. I didn't like that one. I didn't like Minitron or the Squirrel. No offense to Julian Edelman. I thought we could have done better than that. Is Gronk a nickname? I don't know if that's a nickname. I know I'm forgetting one that I'm going to kick myself later. Because some nicknames just encapsulate the athlete beautifully. I prefer a nickname that isn't a play on your actual name. Like calling the Say Hey, or Mickey Mantle the Mick. Like, I don't want to do that. I want some SGA. I want something that's not affiliated with your actual name. I want it based on your actions or your look, like Poppy. He just gave off the Poppy vibes, so they called him Poppy. That's what it is. That's a nickname. The Truth was an awesome nickname. Why? The way it was conceived. Not only was it a good nickname, but the way it has a story behind it. That's got to be one of the best nicknames of all time because of the story behind it. Doesn't get any better than that. When you have direct respect from a top player, a top colleague, as the foundation of your nickname. Like if the top guy in Boston media gave me a nickname, some legend. Got a text from Bill. Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. Huge nickname. Great nickname. If you want to, your size, that could be a part of it. And then what you do, you hurt the baseball. It's a great nickname. Love the Big Hurt. I remember I had a card. It said Big Hurt. Frank, there was a triple play nicknames card.
Oh, how about Rocket for Roger Clemens?
Great nickname. That was one of the cards on the same set. Had that one too. Had that one. I have that one. I kept that one. I didn't throw that one out. Rocket was a great nickname for a pitcher, alluding to being, you're throwing the ball hard. Prime Time was a great nickname for Deion Sanders. You put on a show. Nickname I didn't like. Okay, I don't want to, I never was a fan of the Black Mamba. Too much. Like too many words, too many letters. Same thing with music. Like I don't need a song that's like a name of a song that's a full sentence long. Way too long. What song did I hear? I thought of this the other day. I was listening to like the 90s or whatever station it was, 2000s, and it was an NSYNC song. People are going to think I'm obsessed with boy bands. But it was like the name of the song was God Must Have Spent a Little More Time on You. Like, why don't you just call it Diligence or something? That's way too long. And there's probably a marketing strategy behind it. Like if people can identify the sound and the lyrics with the name, so you want to make the name of the song what the lyrics are, so people identify it and it sells. There's probably a strategy behind it. I understand that. But no, it's way too long. Looks stupid. I mean, Poppy is probably, that would be on the list in Boston. The Truth would be on the list. The Splendid Splinter, I'm good. No. I want something that at least somewhat could be intimidating, or like the Splendid Splinter. You got to give me something better than that. I'm not for that. Did Bobby Orr have a nickname? I don't think Ray Bork had a nickname. Did Neely have a nickname? Like, I don't remember any nicknames from those guys. Manny Ramirez didn't really have a nickname. Noma, that's not a nickname. Yeah, it's the Truth. It's Poppy. Like, TB12, I'm not doing it. I don't, it's not good enough. I'm trying to think the Patriots, they were really, who was the biggest nickname guy on the Patriots? Am I forgetting somebody? Like all those years, the dynasty, the championships, nobody had a good nickname? The Law Firm, was that a nickname? Lawyer Malloy, Ty Law. It was a sick poster back in the day. I don't know if you remember that one. But I don't know. It wasn't really a nickname. Now I'm going to be thinking of nicknames the rest of the day. Can't. Got to focus. Huge practice here. Huge. We're going to face Heat in this championship game. So what's going to happen? The kids are all going to hit with wooden bats today. I'm telling you what. My son, so I did this when I was a kid. If you have a kid that plays baseball, my advice is buy them. I went to the Barnstable Bat Company. Great people. I hope it's still in business. I don't know why they wouldn't be in business. But, the pandemic, whatever. And I bought a bat, a wooden bat, has his name on it, Barnstable Bat Company. And it's, customized. And he hit with that thing all winter. He hit with that thing all spring, all March. His hands, just from hitting with the wooden bat, have sped up so much. I love what wooden bats offer a young player and how they can, get some strength by doing like natural swinging and not obviously lifting weights or anything like that. So I'm going to have the kids hit with a wooden bat today to simulate some of the speed, and then we're going to get a pitching machine. And I'm going to crank that mother up 10 miles an hour faster. And the game will be, can anybody make contact? And when they get into the box on Wednesday against this flamethrower, they will not feel intimidated because they're going to see it so much harder. And we'll see if that pays off. Justin's in Shrewsbury with a nickname for me. Hey, Justin.
Hey, good afternoon. I got a couple football nicknames and then a baseball one.
Yep.
Megatron for Calvin Johnson.
Great one for Calvin Johnson. Love that one.
James White, Sweet Feet.
You know what? That's a great one. I love it. I forgot about Sweet Feet.
Yeah, because it hit home. And then for baseball, Pete Alonso, the polar bear.
Okay, not as into that one. Thank you, Justin. I'm sure. I mean, does he look like a polar bear? Is that why? Fine. I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna reject it, but that's not one of my. Sweet Feet was a good one. It was a good one for James White. Probably a fringe guy in terms of deserving a nickname. I mean, he did have that awesome Super Bowl. I want you to have some sort of legend associated with you before you get a nickname, like a real nickname. But yeah, that was a good one. John is in the car. Hey, John.
Wasn't Ben Jarvis Green Ellis called the law firm?
That's right.
For the Patriots?
That's right.
If I remember correctly?
Name. Yep, correct.
And then I think you missed, I don't know if you said it or not, but I liked Walter Payton's Just Sweetness. That was beautiful.
It's a great
nickname. They called Ray Bork Bubba, actually. My uncle used to work for the team when Bork was playing, and they did call him Bubba. But I liked Ironhead Hayward. I thought that was the best one. We're just constantly slamming his head into the center's ass. I mean, they made a career out of that, made millions of dollars doing it. But I liked Ironhead.
Chiming in for those, John. Thank you. I mean, I didn't know about the Bubba. I can't think of a Bruins nickname. Is Dano Chara Z? Like that's not good enough.
Nah. The thing with hockey is it's mostly you just put a Y at the end of it.
Y.
Like Bergie.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Crakey.
Bergie, Marshy. Yeah. That's it. I mean, but for crying out loud, the great one. That's one of the best, it's one of the best. If you have a good nickname can go a long way in adding to a legend. That's why I was always frustrated. Not that I care, but with Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, it was too much. 617-779-0985 if you want to get in a final word here. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Be sure to tune into the Off Air Show with Felger every Wednesday just after 6 p.m. on the 98.5.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports, Mark Dondero. I just want to make one quick correction. I erroneously stated that Ronaldo played for Spain, but he plays for Portugal, and I knew that, and I just forgot. Does Ronaldo have a nickname? I don't care. Let's go. We have some calls. Mike's in Fitchburg. Hey, Mike.
Hey, so I got two that, I mean, they're kind of obvious just because they're kind of just their names, but I think they're great. You know, I think if you have a good first or last name, you know, it's worthy of use. I mean, you got Gronk, which is one from the Dynasty, and then you got Pasta. Yep. And then one that is slept on, I think Johnny Hockey, when he was here. I mean, rest in peace. Johnny Gaudreau, when he was at BC before he went over to Calgary. Yeah. You know, Johnny Hockey, that's a cool nickname. I mean, stuff you could use. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, man. So I'm not as big on Gronk just because I don't know if the name thing. Pasta, I think Pasta's funny, but I think it's become funny because of that clip that I'm going to one day edit because it drives me crazy where he's going, Pasta. You've seen it. And the sound, like the lips are moving, but there's no audio for another half second. It drives me nuts. But then you get the emoji with the spaghetti. So I enjoy Pasta. Anytime you can incorporate the sport and Johnny, I'm in. Johnny football, Johnny hockey, awesome. It makes your name want to be Johnny to be, you know, whatever. That's a great one. So Johnny hockey, that passes the test. That's a good one. I have another couple that online people are getting at, but we have the calls. I want to see if they mention them because I've missed a couple obvious ones. Pete's in Haverhill. Hey, Pete.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, man?
So the reason I think Black Mamba is good is because it's a killer snake, and Kobe was, agree or disagree, killer in the fourth.
Sure.
So that's why Black Mamba's cool. But we also have a spinoff, White Mamba.
Oh, that's right.
And that's funny because Scal, you know, didn't play that much. So when he, you know, hit his shots and stuff, that was really cool. So I just think, you know, I think Black Mamba actually kind of works.
All right. So Pete's got more respect for the Black Mamba. I don't dislike it. It was just too much. And I thought I don't know, maybe the fact that he kind of pumped it up so much turned me off to the whole nickname. I mean, he was always the Mamba mentality and Mamba this and that. I like it when other people refer to you as the nickname. I don't want to hear you talking about your nickname so much. I think that's probably part of what it was. White Mamba. It's a thing, especially in this area. All right, Jack is in Charlestown. Hey, Jack.
Yeah, let's go back to the 70s for a couple of good ones over at the Garden with the Bruins.
Yeah.
Don Ari, number 26, Bugsy.
Nope, don't know
it. Little overbite. They called him Bugsy.
Okay.
Wayne Carlton, number 11, was 6'2" on skates. They called him Swoop, SWOOP.
Okay.
And a little-known one that really wasn't outside the dressing room was Rick Smith, wore number 10, had 2 stints with the Bruins. Didn't say much, didn't get interviewed much. Good, steady defenseman. Scored the first goal on May 10th, 1970. Didn't say much. Very quiet, very introverted. An old Marx Brothers name, they nicknamed him Harpo. Because as you remember, Harpo never spoke.
Okay.
And they nicknamed Rick Smith Harpo.
Love it. Jack coming up big with some Bruins. Thank you, Jack. I don't know any of those guys. Johnny Busick, didn't he have a nickname? Was he the Chief? Or am I thinking of somebody? I mean, I know Robert Parrish was the Chief, which was a great nickname. I thought Busick was that. Maybe not. And Jake is in Stoughton. Hey, Jake.
Hey, how you doing? I got 3 classics for you.
Give them.
John Hog Hanna.
Yes, that's a great one.
Right? I was thinking that the whole time. Also, Chris Knuckles Nyland. Right? From hockey, hot fighter.
Okay, got it.
Chris Knuckles Nyland. Also, Al the Planet Iafredi.
That's right.
Probably one of the greatest nicknames of all time. I feel like it really fit his personality.
Good stuff. You see, that's another one I wouldn't have gotten. Hog Hanna.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man. I just, what a perfect nickname for that type of guy, that type of player. One that they said online here that I completely forgot, Larry Legend. How do you I mean, that's a great nickname for Larry Bird. Another one that I always liked, Didn't like the player as much. I always thought it was a cool nickname. The Mailman, Karl Malone. Good nickname. Pierce, the Slim Reaper, Kevin Durant. I think if you have the in it, it takes something away from me. I don't like the. Even though the truth is my favorite. Didn't I just say the truth is my favorite? Okay. The Kid. Used to like, maybe it's if it's 2 words. 3 is too many words. The Kid was, I just loved Ken Griffey Jr. Not so much the nickname as much. Did not like that, but the Kid. Great nickname. Yep, Ronaldo's from, I get it. Sorry. The Hit Dog. How can you not like the Hit Dog? Classic. Yeah, I'm assuming somebody else gave him that nickname. Just update you real quick. Red Sox lose. Jason Williams, White Chocolate. That was a great one. That was
what
a
was
good
Randy Johnson, the Big Unit?
The Big Unit was a great one. So maybe I'm not as against as I thought. It's a great one. I mean, you just a play on the way he looked and the way he, his presence.
The
Big
YouTube
Unit.
chat got a good one. Ozzie Smith, the Wiz.
The Wizard. That's a good one. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, those guys are legends, and it just adds a little bit of something to it when you're a legend like that. If you're not as much of a legend, who cares what you're, Oh, I'll give you another one. This is a great one. Speaking of not being a legend, and forget about what I said in it can work. One of my favorite nicknames, and this is a Boston one. Big Baby. That guy, I mean, when you looked at his face, they go, big old baby. Like, it was just like the baby face. I thought that was I laughed every time they referred to him as Big Baby. I think is he in jail? Forget what happened to him.
I think he's been released, but
he's been released.
Jail, yeah.
Good. But yeah, so that was a good one. Yeah. So there's some good nicknames. Red Sox lose. Fell off. The wheels fell off in the 8th inning there. So, only their 3rd loss this season, though, when the starter goes 6+ innings. It's just, this is where they are. And, what else is there to say? They're not going to do what they need to do to improve the team. What do you want to talk about next? You want to talk about moving on from Craig Breslow. The best, honestly, I don't think that would do much. I think the best part about moving on from Craig Breslow is you wouldn't have to listen to Craig Breslow anymore. It'd be maybe somebody that was a little bit more digestible in the way they talked to the fans and in public. I'm sure he's a fine communicator in his life, but I just don't enjoy listening to him. And, this is a team that just disappoints me. Once again, they find a way. They're just not good enough to squash the negativity. I just, that would have been a good opportunity to, you're running out of time here, but you could, if you sweep, even if it's a little mini series, 2 games, if you sweep the Yankees, people will notice that. They'll notice that. I mean, the Yankees are 12 games over 500. They're good at home. But you just can't get it done. You do a nice job tying the game inning after you score, and you give up 5 in the 8th. Jazz Chisholm. 3-run homer. I mean, where are you going to go with this team? It is going to be a long summer. And it is going to be something that we're going to continue to monitor. Roman Anthony's not playing. I mean, that could be the most depressing part of the entire season, honestly. Because I think people are legitimately starting to question Roman Anthony. They're already out on Marcelo Meyer. He's out. They're out. He's not going to be good. He'll be... the guy's not even going to... I'll give you a name he's not even going to add up to. He's not even going to be Shea Hillenbrand. Okay? Forget about other players that Brandon Crawford or other guys he was being compared to. He's not even going to be Shea freaking Hillenbrand. He's not going to come close to being Jaron Duran. And people have been trying to trade him for 3 years. This is why I'm posting Red Sox clips daily. I posted a clip the other day of Trot Nixon. Trot Nixon used to be a role player on the Red Sox. Good player. I love Trot Nixon. Solid player, played a good, decent enough right field. Could hit the long ball. Could bat, could drive in some runs. But now they've got an entire team of Trot Nixons. You know what I'm saying? It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. It's just not, they have the resources, they have the money, they have everything you want, but they just can't. So who's one of their big bats this year that we're all excited about, we think was a good signing? Okay? Tell it to me. Who is it? No, I know nobody can talk to me. Wilson Contreras, right? Generally, people are happy with the signing. He's done some good things. 13 homers. People are excited about Wilson Contreras. Okay? Here's his home run totals. I'll give you his home run totals the last few years. 13 this year, okay? 20, 15, 20, 22, 21, and then back in 2019, he had 24 for the Cubs. Highest total RBIs he's ever had, 80. Last year, he had 80 RBIs. Okay, that's Wilson Contreras. Now let me tell you about Trot Nixon. I'll go 1999 through 2004. 2005. We'll go 2005. Trot Nixon, home runs. 15, 12, 27, 24, 28, 6, 13. RBIs, 60, 88, 94, 87, 23, 67. He must have been hurt in 04. I don't remember. And then he came back for the playoffs and was good in the playoffs. My point is, okay, Wilson Contreras, who you're excited about, good signing. He's thumping the lineup, a right-handed bat. He's not even Trot Nixon. He's not even Trot Nixon. Trotman Nixon. And that's who we're excited about as Thump in the Red Sox lineup. The centerpiece of Thump in the lineup outside of Roman Anthony, who's not playing. The big right-handed bat, Trot Nixon. That guy was like the seventh hitter, almost an afterthought with what you had. You appreciated him, but it was like an afterthought because of the talent that you had on the roster. And that's who we're celebrating now, a guy who's barely Trot Nixon. All right, great stuff. I'm sorry for all the random ask questions I didn't get to. But we'll do more next week. This hour of the Sports Hub was brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-thru oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. Jeff, as always, thanks, man. We'll see you soon. Mark Dondero, 98.5, the Sports Hub. Have a good one.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.